Okay, we are down in the basement at 1820 Zang. We're in the little bathroom down here. We've pulled the toilet. There is a clean out behind the laundry, but someone put on a cap that's pretty tight and is fighting us, and we don't want to do any more harm than we've already done. So we just pulled the toilet, and we're going to go down through here. So this is our cast iron. This is what's under the footprint of the house and any kind of heavy structure. It is always rough and ugly looking, but this here is about as clean a section of cast iron as you would expect to ever see in this age of house. Yeah, there's no significant buildup anywhere in here. The other thing we don't want to see is any standing water. We're taking a pretty good straight shot to the front of the house, I think, because right there, what you're seeing on the top is the test plug. That would have been the last remaining hole that the inspector would have looked through to approve this thing before they covered it up with concrete, and it is covered up with concrete, which is kind of annoying because what a great place for a clean out, but they didn't do that, and they never did. There is our connection with the clay tile. It's a very clean connection. You do see a little bit of root growing there on the left. That is a long ways from being a cleaning issue at this point. There is not enough there to get a hold of. Little wisp hanging down there. Now, just in case you haven't owned a home in the clay tile range, it is normal to have roots in your sewer. If anyone tells you that this is damage, you have a shyster in your house and you need to get rid of them. Clay tile pipe leaks a little. They all leak a little. That attracts roots. The roots come in. As long as you don't ignore them and let them get really large, they won't damage the pipe. So as long as there's an occasional cable cleaning, you won't have any harm done by them. But if you don't clean it, then it can damage it and cause backups. Right now, these roots are still extremely minor. See, they're catching a little toilet paper, but that won't last. That'll come off of there. Unions have been very clean. Fine dangling one there and a little bit on the bottom. Still, this is not large enough to try to clean. The blade wouldn't even be able to touch them. Touch flat out here. Just so you know, my camera is the top of our image is 1.25 inches tall. This is less than a 1/2 inch of water we're seeing, but it isn't perfect slope. We don't get uptight about bellies like this until there's 3 inches of standing water, which we are nowhere near at this point. It's still hovering right in that 1/2 inch range. And we are out near the street and dropping down now. A little flat out by the street again, just a tiny little dip right there. It is still right at that 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches range. A little bit of grease buildup. That's pretty natural for going this long without having to have a cleaning done. That's still not a big enough belly to get us uptight. You do need to remember this is an old sewer and it's old clay tile. You don't want to put paper towels, wipes, feminine hygiene products, that kind of stuff down your sewer. That'll plug even a new sewer. And an older sewer with minor flaws, it can wreak havoc. So treat it carefully, and little dips like this won't give you any kind of a problem at all. Thought that dip meant we were near the street, but if so, our manhole is on the far side of it. This is probably our approach to the tap right here, and that looked really good. That's often the spot where you'll see a significant offset, but that was actually a very clean union. And we have a new tap. The tap itself has been replaced with newer PVC. That is by far your most expensive repair, and it has been taken care of. That's your city sewer, which is a bit of an odd looking one. You don't get a real good drop in there. What you have, I think, is a relined city sewer. That's why it's bright white. And our tap is just abruptly dumping everything right up against the side, and so there's some greasy buildup right in front of us. But that new tap means that that's already been taken care of out there and is good to go. So what we have here is a very typical clay tile sewer. It has some minor flaws in that it has a few roots in it, has a few minor bellies. As long as you treat it right and clean it every once in a while, this sewer should work just fine. Isn't much I can do about this sludge until we get back to one of those little low spots, but we've seen all this. We're only going to keep recording just because I like to make sure there's nothing I missed, but sometimes that's futile if you get the right goo on there. And we seem to have the right goo on there. Well, we're not going to get this off, so we're really just wasting your time and recording length. So we're going to go ahead and stop right there. Sewer looked good, and we're going to call that a wrap.